Webinar today. My name is Rohit Amruther and I am a Customer Success Associate here at YCharts. Today my colleague Rushi Shah will be presenting on technicals in YCharts. We've been getting a lot of questions lately on technicals and how to incorporate them into fundamental analysis. We do have technical charting capabilities as well as the ability to screen for technical metrics on YCharts. All of that and more will be covered in today's webinar. As always, a recording of the webinar will be made available on the site once the presentation is finished. On the right side of your GoToWebinar screen, there will be a questions area where you can submit any questions that come up throughout the webinar. We will be answering those live. We'll also have a short Q&A session at the end for any outstanding questions or questions submitted by multiple attendees. And with that, I'll pass it over to Rushi to get started with the webinar.
Thank you, Rohit. Hello, everyone. This is Rushi. Like Rohit said, feel free to chat in any questions that you have. If they don't get covered during the webinar or afterwards, you can definitely contact your account manager to get that answered. So let's get started on technical analysis. All right, so on our agenda today, we're going to go over 4 basic topics. Number 1 is just an intro to technical analysis on YCharts. So we'll kind of go over how to use a technical chart and how you can use other things in YCharts with technical data. After that, we'll kind of go over some popular technical metrics that technicians like to use and the ones that we have on YCharts. After that, we'll kind of dive into the screener a little bit and use the equity screener with technical metrics to see how you can kind of leverage screening for maybe fundamental stocks and going into technicals a bit more. And lastly, we'll go into an Excel model and use technical data to kind of to show you how you can use historical metrics to do some technical analysis. So let's get started. First, here is a basic view of how a technical chart looks on YCharts. As you can see, it's very easy to read, but we also have a lot of metrics on here. We have this is just a basic candlestick chart for Tesla, and as you can see, there's the 50 and 200 simple moving averages on the chart, and also Bollinger Bands. And below you have volume and RSI. So if we want to just dive into this chart in YCharts, we can go ahead and go to my actual dashboard here. We can start there, and I can show you exactly how to get there. So if you just hover over Tools, you can click on Technical Chart. And that's how you'll get to this chart where we, just like the fundamental charts, we have Technical Chart, and then we also have Technical Chart for Presentation. I will kind of show you how you can view this chart and how it would look in a presentation or somewhere that you wanted to kind of save this chart in. So in the technical charts, very similar to fundamental charts, we have, you could save charts, we can enter a security. So for today, we can start with Tesla. And as you can see, right when you type in that ticker, the stock will populate onto the chart. So to start, I can kind of go back to this presentation here and show you just basics of how to read a technical candlestick chart for those of you that might not be as familiar with it. Basically, the candlestick on the left that you're seeing here shows that the close was higher than the open, so it's a blank candlestick, and the candles at the end of it show the overall range on that day. And then on the right, you have the opposite, where the close is lower than the open. So it's a filled candle, and that signifies that the stock price went down. But it works the same way, that the candles show the range of the stock for that day. So let's go ahead and move back into this technical chart. As you can see, we have Tesla here. You can also select a list browser if that's what you want to view. For now, we'll kind of stick with just Tesla. When you go down to add indicators, you can see that you can browse for something. So these are all the technical indicators that we actually have on YCharts. It's a good list. We have a lot of very popular technical indicators like MACD or oscillators. We have average true range. We have moving averages, which is, and I'll go into a couple of these later on in the webinar. So for now, we can kind of leave this how it is, and let's just add Bollinger Bands onto this chart to show you how that would just easily populate. Now that you have these indicators on the chart, as you can see on the left side, you can see which indicators are on the chart. In addition, you can choose what the time frame is on each of these indicators. So as you can see, the RSI is 14, which means it goes back 14 days. And then you have the 50 simple moving average and a 200-day simple moving average, along with Bollinger Bands that are tracked on the 20-day moving average with 2 standard deviations away. As we move down lower in the chart style, we have candlestick, but if you prefer line charts, you can also choose those, and it'll just change that chart into a line chart. Personally, I prefer candlesticks when I'm looking at technicals, and I think a lot of analysts do as well. And the great thing about these technical charts is that you can change it from a daily chart to a weekly chart or a monthly chart. If you have more of a longer term analysis that you would like to do, you can change it to a weekly chart, and you can go ahead and look at those indicators on a weekly basis. So we'll just go back to daily for this example. Just like fundamental charts, you have a date range up here that you can customly pick what date range you would like to look at. And you also have the 1 month, the 3 month, the 6 month, year to date, and so forth that you can choose from. As you can see down here, we have volume and RSI, which are the indicators that aren't necessarily on the chart but are below. So that's basically how these technical charts work. It's very easy to use, and it looks great in presentations. Let's go back into this PowerPoint here. So here's a couple of the popular metrics that we have on YCharts. So we can start with volume. Volume is just simply the total shares traded during a specific period of time. As you can see, daily it tracks that volume, and this volume will come in the day after. So you can see, times that you might want to keep track of Tesla in this situation, or any stocks that you're looking at based on the volume. And technicians say that volume basically confirms a technical pattern, and so it's a very important metric. Next, we have moving averages, and this is also a very popular metric that technicians use. So moving averages are simply calculated as an average of closing prices. For exponential moving averages, the more recent prices are weighted greater than the previous ones. So it's a little bit more of a momentum indicator. And these moving averages are great for support and resistance levels that analysts like to use. Next, we have average true range. This is a great indicator of what you're expected to see in a stock's movement over time. So as you can see in this example, the average true range is 8.795. So you're expected, in the last 14 days, that was kind of the range of the stock throughout the day. So let's say, for example, the stock moved up 3 points already. You can kind of expect another six or so points in this particular stock. Next, we have relative strength index. This is very popular to kind of show you momentum in a stock. It ranges from 0 to 100, and it is calculated based on this equation that you see right here. It's just 100 minus 100 over 1 plus RS. RS is simply just the average on up days divided by the average move on down days. So it's a great momentum indicator. As you can see on YCharts, the RSI highlights above 70 and below 30, since above 70 is indicated as an overbought condition and below 30 is indicated as an oversold condition. Next we have Bollinger Bands. This has become an extremely popular technical tool to use. It's a great indicator and it's based on standard deviation. So it's calculated as whatever standard deviation you would like, but the YCharts default is the 20-day moving average and 2 standard deviations away from that. You can obviously change that to whichever standard deviation metric or whichever moving average time frame you would like to use, which is a great feature that we have. And this can also act as support and resistance on stocks. So now I'm going to kind of jump into our equity screener a little bit and show you how you can use these this technical data and really see how you can leverage your fundamental analysis in technicals. So as I dive into the equity screener here, basically we can just start with something simple like the S&P 500. Once you have that in your screener, we can add a couple technical indicators. For today's example, I would like to see moving averages that are all basically in the right direction, moving up, showing an uptrend. So what I'm going to do is similar to what technicians call time frame continuity, where I'll have the 20-day moving average above the 50-day moving average and the 50-day moving average above the 200-day moving average. So we can start with just putting in 20-day moving average, and as you can see, our predictive search simply gives you that metric that you're looking for. So I'll just select 20-day simple moving average, and I'll select greater than in between, and you can add the 50-day moving average down here. It's very easy to use, and yeah, so I can just submit, and that'll basically filter out any stocks down here that don't match that filter. Again, I'll put another filter in here. We'll go ahead and put 50-day moving average above the 200-day. And I'll go ahead and submit that, and now we have about 200 results still. Lastly, I can kind of put a couple more technical indicators on here. Let's say we want an RSI above 65 to kind of show positions that have a lot of momentum right now. So I can go ahead and put in 65 down here, hit enter, and submit. And then let's say this is something that you're looking at daily and you kind of want to see, if you want to open this up in the morning every day and see what really moved the day before, you can kind of add a metric filter that says, I want volume greater than the 30-day moving average of volume to kind of get an idea of stocks that really had a good amount of volume the day before. Once I use that, we're down to about 12 stocks here, and that's a manageable list that you can kind of look at, and I can go ahead and save the screen as time frame continuity, for example, and that'll save that screen for me. So the great thing about saving screens is you can kind of open up any other watch list or portfolio that you have on YCharts and just use the screener on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reset to show this example, and I can go ahead and open the screen that we just made, and instead of screening just the S&P 500, I can remove that and add in, for example, a watch list that I'm looking at, or a portfolio where I have like the Smith family, for example. I can go ahead and portfolio, and as you can see, you can open this daily and see, all right, Disney moved above their average 30-day volume yesterday, and it's showing some momentum here. So that's simply how you can use the screener. Another great thing about the screen that you might not know is the scoring model. It's a great way to kind of look at what you've screened and rank it in a way that you can kind of look at. So in the example here, what I'm going to do is I can kind of mix and match fundamentals and technicals and put them together to really have a good analysis of what I'm looking at. So let's say I have this saved screen, Benjamin Graham. This is a very value-based screen. You wouldn't always think to use technical analysis on a very fundamental view. But the great thing about this is I have these 9 equities here, and I can add a technical scoring model to this, and it'll really look at these fundamental stocks in a technical perspective. So this technical score that I have saved already, it's simply just a 14-day RSI, and I have that weighted 70%. And then I also am looking at how many shares are short, just to kind of see what other traders are looking at or what other investors are looking at and how many shares are short. So once I add this score column to this Benjamin Graham screen, now I have a good view of technicals for these value stocks. The great thing about this is, so this is going to rank RSI higher is better and short outstanding shares lower is better. But the great thing about this is, like, if you're a contrarian investor and you actually want something that's oversold and has a high short outstanding percentage, then you could just simply click on it and it'll sort it in the other direction. So it's very easy to use. It's a great tool that we have here, and it's a good way to look at technicals in our screener. So lastly, we can kind of dive into Excel a little bit. This is I made a model that's pretty straightforward in the sense that it's just showing a bullish technical pattern. The pattern that I went with is the golden cross, and it indicates a shorter time frame moving average crossing over a longer time frame moving average. You'll see this as a popular technical indicator that the stock has room to pick up some momentum and get going. So the most popular 2 moving averages used for the golden cross are the 50-day moving average and the 200-day moving average. So that's what I kind of used in this model. So if I go ahead and open Excel here, I have this golden cross approaching list model that I created. Basically what it does is it'll look at something that I have, either an account, a client, a group, a watch list, and it'll pull in those stocks and basically look at if the 50-day moving average is below the 200-day moving average, but they're closer than they were a month ago, then it's going to screen that and display that stock on this list for me. So basically it's a good thing to look at maybe once a week or something and see, hey, you know what, Coca-Cola is approaching a golden cross. Maybe I want to change my position, or maybe I want to get into it or look at it. So it's kind of a nice tool in Excel. This uses our YCharts formulas that we have. So if you have the add-in downloaded, you can click on YCharts, and we have all of these different formulas that you can use. So I can just dive in here and go ahead and, for this example, I'm using a group, and I'm using Smith family. So I just picked both of those on the drop-down, and I have this list of stocks right here that are somewhat close to a golden cross. I also have a chart down here, so for this example, I can pick NBCR, and this chart populates and it shows the last 6 months of the price action and where the moving averages are. So as you can see, that golden cross is about to occur in the stock, and it's a good way to kind of look at these stocks. Next, I can if I have a watch list of maybe potential stocks I'm looking to get into, I could go ahead and click on watch list. And then I can pick a watch list. Let's say for this example, I have a prospecting watch list, and that will automatically update and show on Excel. So I have these 10 stocks that I'm looking at that are somewhat close to a golden cross or recently did a golden cross, and that's what's displaying here. And again, down here, I could choose a chart that I would like to look at. So for this example, I could choose Coca-Cola, and this will automatically update to show Coca-Cola's 6-month chart here. And as you can see, the golden cross is about to occur. So this is just one example of how you can leverage technical historical data and put it into Excel, put something together, and really view your stocks, your portfolio, or your watch list, and kind of do some quick analysis on it. This add-in is a great tool to kind of custom build something that you would like, or some analysis that you like to do. And you can use these technical indicators as an extra layer of probability if you're trying to get into a stock or a security. So that kind of concludes the technical analysis webinar here. I'm going to pass it back over to Rohit, and we'll cover some questions. Thank you for your time.
All right, Rushi, thank you so much for that awesome presentation on technical. So some of the questions that we've been getting on chat, I'm going to answer a few of them right now. So the first question is, why can't I see more than one security at a time on the technical charts? That's because there's so many indicators shown on the technical charts, it would clutter the charts to show any more than one security. And another question we've been getting is, where can I find this new template? So a lot of you want to see that template that Rushi brought up, the Golden Cross template. You can contact your account manager and they'd be more than glad to send that over to you. Next question is on the technical charts. What do the numbers next to the indicators represent? And asking if you can change them. So the numbers next to the indicators represent the number of the time period of the metric in days, and you can change the time period on the left-hand side of the technical chart. For example, Rushi's pulling up Tesla. You can change the RSI from 14 days to 20 days, and that just adjusts the number. So if you look right next to it, it says RSI 20 at the very bottom of the technical chart. Another question we've been seeing is if you can get technicals on funds and indexes. So we do carry technicals on indexes, however, not on mutual funds, just because they do not trade intraday. Do we have a technical investment strategy? No, we do not, unfortunately, have technical investment strategies available on YCharts. And then others are asking about technical indicators such as asking about MACD. We've gotten questions on the oscillators. So you can find all of those in our glossary. So if you hover over support at the top and you go to financial glossary, so let's say Rushi wanted to look up Bollinger Bands. You can find that by clicking the letter at the top, B, and clicking on Bollinger Bands. So you pull that up, you have the definition, you have the formula for each band, and so that way you know how it's calculated, you know what its significance is, and essentially its definition. But that will wrap up our April webinar on technicals. Thanks to all of you who have attended today. Before we finish, I'd like to reiterate that a recording of this webinar will be available on our site support section under support topics within the next day. I'd like to finish by also saying that, as always, please don't hesitate to reach out to your account managers with any further questions. And we will be hosting a webinar in May as well, so please keep an eye out for emails. Thank you, and have a great day, everybody.